What's going on, guys? Vulkan here, and today we're going to talk about some critical tips and tricks to help you hit the ground running in the New World beta and when New World launches on August 31st. Now, because all these tips and tricks are fairly sporadic and miscellaneous, I've grouped them up as best as I can, but some of these might jump around from combat to crafting, so stick with me and use those timestamps if you need to. So let's go ahead and get things started with number one. Now, one of the most basic things you can do to improve your time with New World is to be constantly eating. Keep a slew of rations on yourself and eat them often, because there are two reasons for this. One, this activates your health regeneration, and two, eating rations will provide other benefits like increased movement speed or mana regeneration. Now, sure, there are potions you can use kind of in the middle of combat, but rations are easier to craft. They have a 10-minute duration, and they provide a bonus regen over time, which is both useful in and out of combat. So number two is all about weight. Now, weight is a major factor in New World, especially when it comes to your character's ability to fight. If you're too heavy, your ability to dodge will suffer. You'll go from a roll to a sidestep to a very slow sidestep. So one big tip is to make sure you aren't wearing your shield if you're not using it. Remember, your shield can only be used with a sword. So if you're not using the sword, then don't have that shield equipped, because this is going to add extra weight and push you into a heavier weight category. Moving to number three, New World is all about spending as much time in the world as possible. And with that, you need a place to rest and craft. So remember to set your campsite by pressing the Y key, and this can be used to rest, cook, and resurrect if you manage to die. Otherwise, you're going to be running back and forth from the nearest settlement or fort, and it's just not an efficient way to play the game. And also, the whole rest thing, you can just go click rest and it'll restore your health over time. So it's a great checkpoint. I usually like to place these outside of kind of questing areas and things like that, because remember, you cannot place them in landmarks. And moving into number four, one of the biggest questions I always see is how to find certain resources. And it's not exactly obvious from the get-go, but you can use your map and compass to locate these. So if you open your map, you can see all the different types of terrain that have certain resources. And when you're in this terrain and area, you can use your compass to see the different resource icons to find them. For instance, if you're looking for hemp, that's in the grasslands area. So go out, look for the grasslands on the map, go to that area, and you'll be able to find them. So number five is a tip as old as time when it comes to MMOs, but remember to pick up all of the faction quests, town projects, and side missions in each settlement before you leave. You can take care of a lot of the faction quests and town projects passively while you're finishing your side and main quests. These will just happen over time, whether it's killing 10 wolves or collecting a certain resource. As you're out in the world, you're going to be doing these things, so it's better to have the quest than have to go back and redo a bunch of work. Number six, the world of New World is a big one, and it can take a long time to run from place to place. So make sure to take advantage of the in-recall and fast travel system. So a lot of people, again, asking questions on how do we fast travel? How do we move about this world quickly? You can open your map, hover over a settlement, and then click on recall to inn to fast travel back to that settlement. But keep in mind, you can only be checked in to one inn at a time. So if you're checked into the inn at Monarch Bluffs, then you can only go back to Monarch's Bluffs. That is just the way it works. And you can only fast travel to different settlements if you've been there before. There are also locations out in the middle of the world called shrines, and these are usually near points of interest, but you can also fast travel here to make getting around a little bit better. Now, just like your armor weight, you do need to be wary of inventory weight, and that leads us to tip number 7. New World has a weight system, and if you go over, you will become encumbered and you're gonna walk extremely slowly. You're still able to fast travel for an increased cost, so at the end of the day, just make sure that you keep an eye on that inventory weight and make sure to give yourself enough room to pick up anything out on your adventures. Now, as you play and you level up, you're going to unlock more bag slots, and these can be used to equip different duffel bags and cases to increase your capacity. Jumping to tip number 8, when it comes to inventory management, there is not a vendor that you can just sell all your trash to, and you're going to be collecting tons of items. Instead, you want to salvage all of your items that you don't need. This is going to give you repair parts and materials that you can use for crafting, and these repair parts can be used to repair broken gear and tools, and these are going to become incredibly valuable as you get further into the game because your tools are going to break more often and your gear is going to take increased durability damage. So make sure to stockpile these early and salvage everything you don't need. For tip number 9, there isn't a general store vendor to dump junk off to, but there is a trading post, which is basically an auction house in New World. Now, these are not linked, so be sure to list your items in high traffic areas rather than a settlement with very little foot traffic if you want these to sell for a price that you're looking for. Moving into tip number 10, one of the biggest core features of New World is the faction and settlement ownership system. So settlements who are under control of companies, which are guilds, will be able to set crafting tax rates. Some are going to be way higher than others, so make sure to view the tax rates and then settle on a place that has lower rates than others to help save you some money early on. You can also offset this by choosing to lower crafting taxes when you increase your territory standing for a certain area. Tip number 11 is all about storage. So storage sheds are New World's version of banks, and these can be found in each settlement. However, by default, these are not shared. So you're going to need to remember where you've stored all of your stuff. If you drop some stuff off in Everfall, it will not be available in Monarch's Bluff. So just make sure that you keep those things in mind. Now, they did recently make this a bit easier by allowing storage to be linked only if both settlements are controlled by the same faction. So there is a little quality of life improvement there, but overall, these are not shared. Remember where you store your stuff. And for our last tip, number 12, we're going to talk about housing. Now, this isn't a hugely talked about feature lately. It was kind of, hey, we have housing and now we're moving on to something else. But in New World, housing is pretty important. It's not just for the aesthetic. So houses will provide a slew of benefits. Things like trophies you can put up that provide buffs, extra storage furniture, and a variety of other benefits that are going to make your time in New World much better. Now, this is a really cool system that I actually enjoyed in WildStar, and I'm glad that New World brought something similar here. So even if you just buy a house and then throw all of your stuff in the middle of the living room just to get all the buffs like my friend does, that's fine as long as you take advantage of it. So once again, guys, housing isn't just for aesthetic or setting things up and interior design. It's also a gameplay enhancing feature. So I hope this quick video with some critical tips and tricks will help make your New World experience better when beta and launch arrives. But these aren't the only tips and tricks out there, guys. These are just the ones I kind of thought up. So if you have a good piece of knowledge, drop it in the comment section below. Let's help out our fellow gamers and just have a badass thread of New World tips and tricks for this video. But guys, thank you so much for the support. It's been phenomenal. I hope to see you guys on the next one. This has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you guys next time.